So if you're struggling with discipline and trying to get your life together, this video is for you. So make sure you stay tuned because we're jumping right into today's video. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, I am ChimereNicole. And today we're going to be talking about some of the ways I find that we struggle with self-discipline, and then we're also going to talk about some strategies and some things that I have learned to implement in my daily life that have helped me combat that and to become more disciplined and confident. So the first question that you may ask is, what is discipline? To make a long story short, discipline is basically a practice of behavior. It is a code of conduct and a daily practice. So when I looked into the definition, I thought practice was a really good way to define discipline, because it's something that you have to continually do. It's not one thing that you learn one day and it follows you every day of your life. It is a daily practice. So we're going to talk about some ways I find that we struggle with discipline, and we're going to also discuss a little bit of the ways in which that we can combat that and change it for the better. So let's start with my 5 tips, and we are actually going to go in descending order today. So number 5, I find, is that we are programmed to be distracted. Even if you think about what we do on a day-to-day basis, think about the amount of times that you grabbed your phone and you just kind of mindlessly scrolled and scrolled and scrolled, and then 30-40 minutes later you realized, I've been scrolling and the thing that I said I wanted to do, I didn't even do. I didn't even accomplish the goal for the day because I was mindlessly scrolling, or on Facebook, or on Twitter, or reading something that is not getting you to your daily goal or to your larger goal. So I believe that society now programs us to be distracted by the smallest things. Even at the time of this recording, we had something going on with the Titanic submersible going down and getting lost. And while we are distracted by this one thing that is happening, we are missing out on so many other things that are going on in our world and in our society. So I truly believe that we are programmed to be distracted. I think we should collectively take a look at the amount of time that we waste per day. And I actually took a self-assessment of this last week, and I realized that again, at the time of this recording, I just recently graduated from college, and I realized now that I am done with my schooling, all of the time that I'm now wasting on doing nothing. And I realized, like, where's all this time going? Like 2 months ago, I was, studying and I was getting all of this stuff done. And then now I was realizing, like, I'm not really doing as much, but I don't feel like I'm accomplishing anything. And so I realized that even if it's 10-15 minutes here and there, collectively within a day, I'm spending maybe an hour and a half on social media. But I said that I wanted to, have a goal of reading a book every day, and I wanted to, do all of these things within a day, and I could not figure out why I wasn't getting these things done. And then I realized I had reprogrammed myself to get back into old habits and do the mindless scrolling and the mindless reading and sitting down watching TV. And knowing me, guys, if you guys are new here, I watch the same stuff all the time. So I'm watching Lord of the Rings again. I'm watching the same stuff, and it's like, I said I had all these goals, I'm not accomplishing anything. Whose fault is this? It's mine, because I am being distracted. So again, I think a good idea is to think about what you're doing throughout the day. Like, literally write down what you're doing each and every day. Even if you're like, okay, I went upstairs and I took a 15-minute nap, or I took the dog for a walk. Like, literally think about everything you do within the day, and you're going to realize that a lot of the things that we're doing are not aligned with the goals and the things that we said that we were going to set out to do. So finding out what your distractions are, and then coming up with a game plan to remove those distractions and utilize that time in a more positive way is definitely going to help. So when we're talking about discipline, we are usually utilizing that in a way that we are trying to achieve a goal. So one of the things that I realized with my own self-discipline is that it makes it a lot harder to be disciplined when the goal that you are trying to achieve is so large. So I like to utilize the story of David and Goliath. We're going to give you a really quick little Bible study. So David and Goliath, Goliath was a giant, and he came to a town with the army, and everybody was so scared of Goliath because he was so big and he was so massive, and it's like, oh my God, how can we defeat this large giant? And then you have David, who's probably like 5'1", little scrawny kid, and he defeats the Goliath. He defeats the giant with a slingshot, a little rock and a slingshot, and he defeats the giant. The reason he defeated the giant is because he was prepared. He had utilized the word we talked about earlier. He practiced. He was prepared to defeat the giant. So how this relates to us is that discipline is a daily practice. So you typically are able to achieve that goal when you practice that thing each day. So when you look at your goal and you look at it in a large space and you look at it like, oh my God, I want to, let's say, I want to make $1 million. I don't know. I want to make $1 million in my lifetime. And you look at that 1 million, or you look at that number, and it looks so big and it looks so hard to achieve. But instead, by tackling that thing every day and making those goals smaller, instead of just saying I want $1 million, let's make that goal smaller. So then we'll say I want to make $100,000 10 times. $100,000 10 times 1 million. So you see how you broke that goal down? So 1 million and 100,000, those are two completely different numbers, but one looks a little more attainable if you do it every single day, right? The $100,000. So don't think about your goal as a Goliath. Think about your goal as a David, smaller. So this is one of my favorite concepts. This is something, again, that I personally realized when I was trying to get a little more disciplined, is that when you realize that doing something consistently every single day, you can't fail, the amount of confidence that gives you feeds the discipline, right? So think of it this way. If you walk every single day, whether you're walking for 5 minutes, you're walking for 3 minutes, you're going to get better at it, right? Now, you may not be doing it for a particular reason, but the more you do something, the more proficient you get at it, the more confident you get at it, because you're doing it consistently. That is what feeds discipline. So by being consistent and realizing that every time I do this, it's going to get me closer and closer to that goal, it makes you so confident. So for me, one of the things that I like to do is, I know the confidence that I got from doing something every single day, it fueled my discipline. This made it easier to stick to that routine. It made it easier for me to stick to that keyword daily practice, and it allowed me to get closer to that goal. The closer I got to the goal, the more disciplined I became, the more confident I became, and it just fueled that discipline. Now, during this process, one of the questions that might arise, or I would even say the question that arose when I was going through this, was, am I sure that what I'm doing is actually going to work? Like, am I sure that the thing that I'm doing each and every day is actually going to get me to my goal? If you're not sure, that's going to make this process a whole lot harder. And if that's the case, that is typically the reason why we quit, because we are not confident that the thing that we're doing is going to get us to our desired result. And so if you're not sure, you're never going to be able to build up that confidence to keep going. In order to be disciplined, you have to be flexible, okay? Discipline does not mean being so structured and so rigid in a routine that it doesn't allow for flexibility. Discipline is essentially learning to have that practice each and every day, but there are going to be times where it just doesn't happen. Like, take me for example. I'm a mother, I have my own business, and every day for me is different. So if I got so rigid and trying to say, oh, I gotta get up at this time, and if it doesn't happen, then my whole day is shot, like, I would never be able to get anything done. There is flexibility with being disciplined. Discipline just means the art of practicing something consistently. Now, that does not mean every single day. It just means being able to be flexible enough to know that if I didn't get it done today, I just jump on the bandwagon the next day and I continue on. That is discipline. So being rigid is not discipline. Again, we're going to take me for example. One of the things that I've been doing this year, and thumbs up for this because I'm doing a really good job at it, is I have been going to the gym at 6 a.m. So typically my alarm goes off between 5:45 and of course 6, and my goal is to get to the gym by 6 o'clock, 6:15. So with that discipline is not only going to bed, I have to be in bed by 11 o'clock to be able to feel like I want to work out in the morning, but also it has allowed me to kind of monitor the amount of TV that I'm watching at night, the mindless scrolling that I used to do at night. It has helped me in that area, and it's also helped me to stay on the track to maintaining my health. Doing something as a daily practice, of course, is discipline, but I also allow myself those days where if I had to be up a little bit later and I didn't feel good the next morning, being flexible enough to know that I can always take that moment that I need or take that day and jump back on the bandwagon the next day. But that flexibility also has allowed me to be disciplined in other areas. So taking the gym, which is my example, is again, with me waking up at 5:45, it has allowed me to be disciplined in my sleep schedule. It has allowed me to be consistent in my reading, because now when I'm doing cardio that I don't like as much, I'm able to either have a physical book with me or a ebook. So I'm being disciplined in the area of reading every single day, of getting the sleep that I need every single day, going to the gym every single day, and stopping the mindless scrolling that I used to do early in the morning, because now it has been replaced with a gym schedule. So being flexible in my discipline each day has allowed for that discipline to stretch into other areas of my life. So don't be so regimented. Try to have a little more flexibility. And number one, hate it until you love it. So a few months ago, I heard Mike Tyson say something that has really stuck with me in terms of discipline and how he was able to build discipline when he was boxing and in his younger ages. And one of the things that he said was, discipline is doing something that you hate until you learn to love it. And for me, it was just so profound. And I was just like, wow, like, you're not always going to love to do that thing, but you'll learn to love it when you realize that doing it all of the time is going to get you to your desired result. So for me, we're going to take that 5:45 gym, that gym wake up call. I am not a morning person. Although I have my coffee here, I'm not a morning person. So I love to stay in the bed in the morning, but I love to be up at night. As you guys have seen from our previous example, I just don't like doing it. I just don't like doing it. I want to go to sleep, okay? I want to lay in the bed. I want to stay warm. But that 5:45 thing, again, it was something that I hated to do. But the more I did it and the more I started to realize I was getting closer and closer to that desired result, to that goal, I started to love it. Like, I started to get up and be happy, because it's like, I know that getting up is going to get me to that goal. It's going to get me to that result. So it just put a little more pep into my step. And as I told you guys in the previous example, the more I did it, I started to love it, because I realized that doing that one thing was helping me in so many other areas of my life, i.e., again, the reading, doing the extra cardio, just having more energy in the morning. There were so many things that I was able to achieve by doing something that I didn't necessarily like, but I learned to love it. So those are some of the reasons why I feel that we are struggling with self-discipline. Again, these are things that I have personally gone through as well, and I know that implementing some of those changes that I talked to you guys in the video are definitely effective, because again, been there, done that, still going through it, still applying these things each and every day. But I know that they are helpful, and I know that it is going to help you get to whatever your desired goal is. So I hope that this video was informative for you guys. I hope that you guys learned something from some of the examples that I use, and also just helping you pinpoint what your struggle may be in the area of discipline, and maybe even confidence, and hoping that some of the things that we discussed in this video are effective for you moving forward. And also, if you have any tips and ways in which that we all as a community can utilize discipline in our daily lives, please feel free to leave it in the comment section below. I love to read them, and again, I am learning the same way we all are learning, so if someone else can read that and it can be effective for them, please feel free to share. As always, thank you guys so much for watching today's video, and thumbs up if it was helpful for you, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos just like this, and I will see you guys in the next video.